world to make a change. Nothing will be the same.
Tēnā koutou katoa. Welcome back to MIT's online lecture series. We hope you've got your cup of tea ready and your afternoon snacks. My name is Stevie and I'm joined by my colleague Gina.
Hi everyone, welcome back to our MIT online lecture series. We are so excited to have you back with us during our week 2 of the series. We hope you have enjoyed the previous series. Don't forget, if you have missed out on any of our previous interviews with our lecturers, please feel free to see them on the events page in the discussions tab. Today we are joined with Amy and Anne, who are from our School of Nursing based at the MIT Manukau. So we're just going to go straight into it. Ladies, please tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Kia ora, my name's Anne and I have been working at MIT for 17 odd years. Before that I was a secondary school teacher teaching at Papakura High, obviously in Papakura, and Linfield College out Mount Ross School, Linfield Way. I started off working in our level 3 and 4 programs and moved into the degree about 10, 11 years ago and teach across most of the nursing programs. I'm not a nurse, I'm a scientist, and so looking after the science programs, the courses on the degree and diploma programs.
Hi guys, I'm Amy. I'm one of the nursing lecturers and I come from a nursing background out in the community and in the acute care setting as well. So I did my training here in New Zealand and went on to work in post-anaesthetic care, and I worked in the community in a general practice, and I've also worked in neonatal intensive care, which is my passion. And I've been at MIT for just over 2 years, and I lecture in the first year of the Bachelor of Nursing, and I've also taught on the Diploma of Enrolled Nursing as well, which we'll talk about a little bit later on.
Cool.
So, so I was just going to say, both of us, besides being lecturers on the program, are academic leads for Student Journey, so helping people, wanting to come into nursing and looking at the best pathway to get there. So we hope we can give you all the information that you guys need.
Great.
Awesome. Thanks for that, ladies. Please tell us about the different programs that you teach on, program levels, the location, online learning if possible, so part-time, full-time, and also can you please touch on the entry requirements?
Sure. So we have, currently at the moment, we have 4 nursing programs. 3 of them are at degree level. So we have our Bachelor of Nursing, a Bachelor of Nursing Māori, a Bachelor of Nursing Pacific, and we also have our Diploma of Enrolled Nursing. So I'm going to hand over to Amy and she's going to talk to you about our Enrolled Nursing program and our Bachelor of Nursing programs.
Cool.
So our Enrolled Nursing program is a diploma level program, and it's an 18-month course, and that is at level 4 and you finish up at level 5. In that program, you're able to then go on to become a registered enrolled nurse in New Zealand, and you can work both in the acute care, so in the hospital setting, you can work in the community, you can work in mental health. So it offers a wide range of opportunities for students to go out there and get a job working in the healthcare field after doing 18 months of study. Then we've got our Bachelor of Nursing program, which is a 3-year degree. It's our generic registered nursing program, and this allows you to, at the end of that, register as a nurse in New Zealand, and you will be a comprehensive nurse after that, so you will be able to work in many different fields. So if you've got an interest in working with people in the community, if you've got an interest with working in maternity care, if you've got an interest in working in acute care, places like the emergency departments, ICU, on the wards, or anything like that with children, those are all options for you in mental health as well. So that is a level 7 degree program. So coming into that program, you'll need to have university entrance to get into that. So you can come in directly from school. But for a lot of you, it may be something that you're thinking of doing down the track, not straight out of school. And we've got options available for you as well, because nursing is such a diverse career that we get people from all walks of life, and they come into the program and they add so much to the workforce out there.
Awesome.
All right, so our other 2 degree programs are also starting at level 5 and finishing at level 7. And I'll talk about the Bachelor of Nursing Māori first. So it's our first year this year of rolling out the BN Māori, and we're really excited about that.
Yeah.
The BN Māori also allows you to qualify as a New Zealand registered nurse and do all the things that Amy's talked to you about from our BN. But it's got a slightly different philosophy and a different way of facilitating that. So the cohort for that is usually a little bit smaller than our BN cohort. And the philosophy of it is built on and the delivery of it is built on the philosophy, of Princess Tahuia and centres around the tikanga of Tainui. It's for applicants or students wanting to really work with our Māori communities and whānau to help have a positive influence on Māori health outcomes. Our Bachelor of Nursing Pacific has been around. I started teaching on that when it first came out, and I'm still teaching on it. It's been, I can't remember exactly how many years, but it's quite well established. It's got a really strong emphasis on cultural identity and connections, and looking at Pacific worldview and nursing worldview kind of collectively. The team worked really hard to foster a sense of family and build those connections between students as a supportive thing. And one of the key things in there is about establishing relationships with people in the community or Pacific leaders and other healthcare providers out in the sector, so that we've got that sort of ongoing relationship going, so that students can kind of transition really nicely into that. So it is also for anyone who's really passionate about working with Pacifica people and improving the outcomes for our Pacific community.
That's cool. With that, what would you say your percentage is between theory and practical?
I think we offer quite a practical approach to nursing. There's lots of, from our very first semester, we get you up in your nursing uniform up into the clinical learning suite and doing vital signs and things like that. That's one of the really cool highlights about us. Amy can probably talk a little bit more about what kinds of things we do up there. And we get our students out doing running wellness clinics and stuff within sort of 6 months of starting those degree programs. So yeah, really quite practical. There is a lot of theory. You've got to know your science, and you've got to know about nursing care and all that kind of stuff, and that really supports that practical kind of side. So it's a bit of a mix. But as you move through the degree and as you move through the diploma, you get more and more clinical, and you get more, and you're kind of bringing your clinical practice together with that theory, so it becomes kind of an applied sort of program.
So you're located at MIT Manukau near the mall. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, just right above the train, so you can, take the train into us and get out in the rain and not get wet. So it's really cool. So it's only one stop from Counties Manukau, like Middlemore Hospital. So some students actually park at our campus and then get on the train and go to placement and then come back again. So a lot of our placements are at Middlemore, or the super clinic at Browns Road, or sometimes out in Howick and even Pukekohe. So, yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much for that. Amy, did you want to add anything onto the quick question about the percentage between theory and practical?
Yeah, so our course is majority practical as you move through the degree. So there is a change. And initially, it's a lot of theory, and that's to get that good grounding and foundation of nursing knowledge to be able to apply that to the practical setting. So we start out with a lot of theory. Yes, we get you into the clinical learning suite. We learn how to do vital signs. We learn how to assist people to move around and do all those fun things. And then in the second semester is where the real clinical starts, where you get that opportunity to go out and be in the hospital for a couple of weeks as a student nurse in that role, working a shift alongside, or working shifts for a couple of weeks alongside an RN. And that really gets the opportunity, or gives the students the opportunity. You'll get that chance to really be there and do the things that are actually being done when you're out there in your nursing career. And you also get to do some wellness clinics. So that is where we go out into schools, or we go into police stations, and we do wellness checks on the staff in those places. And it's an opportunity to really practice some of those skills that we've done out in the clinical learning suite of real people who are not your mates in class with you. And as you move into the second year of nursing, your clinical hours become more and more prominent, and it probably would account for more than half of the course in those later years. You're still doing that theory alongside it, but that theory is embedded in all of the clinical that you're doing. So all the theory that you learn in class, you're taking and you're putting it into that clinical setting, so that you have a complete synthesis of all that information, and you're able to put into practice what you're learning in class. So it's a different way of delivery in those later semesters, and by the time you get to your final semester, which would be BN6, you are mostly doing clinical. You are working towards functioning as a fully qualified registered nurse.
So definitely hands-on and practical, which obviously gets them prepared to go into the real world of what it's like to be a registered nurse or registered enrolled nurse. That's awesome. Thank you so much, ladies, for that. Now moving on to a fun fact question. Anne?
Okay, so there's probably a few fun facts, but one of the most embarrassing things that ever happened to me was when I was a student, and I used to work weekends, like all day, like 9 till 6, both Saturday and Sunday, to support my way through uni. And I was walking home from work one day, and there were these bits of paper flying down the road. And then I got a bit further down the road and found like a pair of socks, and then like some underpants, and I was like, what is this? These are my things. And I was like, what is happening? And my mum had got really annoyed with me and decided that while I was at work, she'd just pick all the stuff up off the floor that I'd left around the house, all my study stuff and everything, and chuck it out the window. And at the time, I wasn't very happy. I was really embarrassed because the neighbours could see all my things. But as I've grown up and had my own children, I kind of appreciate what she was trying to tell me and teach me about being a grown-up in the grown-up world. But what's important here, I think, is realising that when we come into study, that you've got to be on the same page with the rest of your whānau. So my mum thought she was being supportive, and she was being supportive in her way, but that's not kind of the support that I needed. So I think it's really important for people thinking about coming into degree programs or into nursing, which is a little bit more complex, because you've got your, and even into the diploma, you've got your theory and you've got your practical stuff. But you've also got this whole other dimension of clinical practice that you've got to fit into your existing life and balance that with the clinical hours and things like that. Yeah. So I think it's really important. I mean, even though that was a funny story, I think you've got to have that discussion with your whānau about what you're doing and what's involved in it, because study, whether it's the diploma or whether you're preparing yourself to come into the degrees or the diploma, full-time study is like a full-time job. And so it might be having to say to mum, can you just leave my room? I'll tidy it up in the semester break or something like that. But I think it's important to have those conversations. So yeah, I've never forgiven her.
She was trying to turn your mess into a message. Oh.
Yeah, she was. But yeah, that's what she was trying to do. I think have those conversations before you start, because it's important.
Cool. Thank you so much for that, Anne.
So I know there's a lot of amazing and appealing things about your program. Tell us, what do you two love about the program that you teach on?
I really love the fact that our classes, even though they might seem big to some people, like we really get to know our students really well. Like either even on an online thing, like through emails and stuff, you can get that. But what's really great for us is that we have these situations where we're up in the lab with a smaller group of people, or Amy might be up in the clinical learning suite with a smaller group of people and working in groups of 5 and really getting to know them. And one of the things I'm really proud about, I think, is that I know the names of my students and can recognise them and things like that. So I think that's one of the really cool things. Like when I was at uni, we were just nobody knew who we were. So I think our program's quite unique in that kind of sense. Amy?
Absolutely, I completely agree. We have a real sense of connection between the groups and the lecturers, but I think even to extend on that, what I love about the program is those relationships that get built between the students across all the semesters. And we have students connecting with each other that are in semesters that are ahead, and they're helping out students that are coming into the program and building all of those relationships because they're out on clinical together. And so you have all this support from people who are ahead of you and have been there and have that good advice and knowledge to share. And I think within MIT, or I know within MIT and in the classes that I teach on, the students aren't just a number. They are one of the big family at MIT, and it really shows in those relationships that get formed, and it shows when they get out there in the clinical and work spaces that they've had a really great, strong foundation during their training. And I think that we have a really diverse range of students, and because we don't have sort of one type of student that comes to MIT, we've got everybody from, one cohort, we've got kids that have just come out of school studying to be nurses, and we've got people who are returning to work, mums who have been out of the workplace for a long time who have decided to take on a new career path. We've got people who are changing careers and coming in to study. And I think all of that just brings this richness to the campus, and it brings a richness to the program. And all that previous experience is translatable into their nursing or their future nursing career and their study. And it just gives a great sense of knowledge sharing and connection between everyone. So I love that about our program.
Yeah, that's awesome. On that note, can you just, I guess, give us a bit of information in regards to our relationship with Koawatia?
Yeah, so we have got a really great connections within the community. So as an institute, we have got great reciprocal relationships with all of the DHBs, and that especially with Counties Manukau. We have got all of our students, and we have got a majority of our students go out to Counties Manukau DHB facilities for their clinical placements, and we have got a great amount of communication that happens between us and those service providers. So our students have the ability to go on and work there later on once they've gained their qualifications. But we also have students, especially with our enrolled nursing program, we have got great connections with the Auckland DHB who are seeking to expand their employment of enrolled nurses.
Oh, awesome.
And we've got students that are going there and joining the programs at ADHB and going on to be employed there. So we've got a really high rate of our students that are employed by Counties Manukau after their degree, and that's in the community and in their inpatient facilities as well. And did you have anything to add about those?
I was just going to say, like, Counties Manukau has in Koawatia developed what we call dedicated education units. So specifically working with student nurses, and when our students go out on clinical practice, they have a CLN, a clinical nurse that's going to look after them, and they have an academic lecturer that comes out and meets with them and helps them meet those learning outcomes and competencies and things as well. So like Amy said, they work really kind of tightly together to help the student on their journey to become a registered nurse.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you for that. On to our next question. If there was anyone that was watching today that was, I guess, that had the thought of wanting to become a enrolled nurse or a registered nurse, what would you say be the types of qualities or traits they bring with them?
I think like nursing, like as Amy has talked about, is a really diverse kind of thing with a lot of transferable skills. So things like being and just experiencing the lockdown and seeing how like our best laid plans have kind of gone a bit skew-whiffy. Like nurses have to be able to be flexible and deal with things because, even though you might have a care plan for your patient, something's going to go wrong somewhere maybe, and you've got to be able to deal with that. So good problem solving skills, being a little bit creative about what you do, having real people skills and being able to connect with people, having some empathy. It's a bit like teaching. It's a physical job. Like, I'm not the most fittest person in the world, but I spend a lot of the time when I'm teaching standing on my feet and walking around, and know that that's what my nursing colleagues do as well. You could be on a 12-hour shift. So while you don't have to be able to sprint a marathon or anything like that, you do need to have a bit of physical kind of endurance and be able to put up with that. So if you've got a wonky hip or whatever, you know, come and have a chat with me and Amy, and we can see if there's a way forward for you, and what kind of clinical areas that you might be able to work in, because some, you know, there are ways forward with that.
Yep.
It is a stressful role, and in my role as an academic lead for Student Journey, we often have students who need a bit of extra support because of that. And I think it's important coming in that people know who they are, what they value, what they believe, what their stresses are, what their biases are, because they're going to be working with a whole lot of different people, either on a peer level or with their patient. And so it's about, I think, coming in, you need to kind of have a bit of a growth mindset and be open to learning opportunities. So while you might not be able to do all those things, our role working with you, whether you're doing the enrolled program or the degree programs, is to work alongside you and help you develop those, so that when you pop out the other end, you've really, really developed them. So yeah,
that's awesome. And then it also goes back to what you were saying before, Anne, about having the conversations with their families, their whānau and their ainga, about I guess the commitment that they're going to have to make in regards to wanting to become a nurse or studying nursing at MIT. So yeah, thank you for that.
Thank you. So moving along to our next question, what are some of the projects that the students get to do during the program? Perhaps we can have one talk about a project, and maybe one talk about practicum itself, because it seems to be the hot topic of our conversation.
So really, majority of the projects that happen within the nursing qualifications are linked to practicum.
Right.
So we have students going out and doing, like I said before, wellness clinics, where you go out and work with healthy individuals in the community. So we go into, majority of the time it's into police stations or into schools, and work with the staff in those areas, doing wellness checks and looking at prevention and keeping people healthy and giving health information to those people. And then we also have out in the clinical setting, so students get to go into all the different clinical spaces. They get to go into the hospital setting, where they work in acute care and rehabilitation as well. We get an opportunity for students to go out into mental health services, both in inpatient and in the community. Throughout their practicum, they also get an opportunity to work in the community. So they have a semester which is focused on community-based nursing, and so that's working in general practice, working in prisons, working in schools and places like Plunkett as well. So in all those primary care organisations. So there is a good spread over the whole degree, and you're able to experience majority of the areas where nurses can work, and that gives a really good idea to you before you graduate as to where you might fit best within the nursing qualification. So those are some of the major things that happen. And we also have clinical learning suites, and we do simulated clinical settings where students come in, and we've got amazing mannequins that do all sorts of things. They breathe and they have all kinds of vital signs. You can take their blood pressure, and the lecturers do a great job of acting behind the glass screens and speaking for the patients. We're really good at that. And it gives students an opportunity to work through some of the challenging situations they'll come across out in those settings, and it means that it takes away some of that scariness about being in a real life setting where somebody's life really is hanging in the balance, where they can make all the mistakes they need to in those settings, and we can talk through it and work through that so that they're really confident when they get out there and actually get some hands-on experience.
A lot of our students want, come in with a particular thing in mind, like I'm going to be a paediatric nurse, or that's what I want to do. But the way that our programs are structured, where on the degree they've got, like Amy said, a semester in the inpatient, a semester in the community, a semester in mental health. It really opens their eyes to all the different kind of elements of nursing. And at the end of the day, what we're trying to make sure is that our enrolled nurses and our degree nurses or our registered nurses have all the skills they need to be able to work in whatever field they might choose when they finish and they graduate. So people often ask about specialising, and that sort of happens once you transition from study into your workforce and you're working in a particular area.
Course, and that's cool to know and also understand as well, because these are the questions that are often asked by our students with the schools that we work in as well. So thank you both for that. I guess for a registered enrolled nurse or registered nurse, what is the average salary or average earnings for someone that is registered in the industry?
So for registered nurses, we would start out on around $57,000, and that will go up, and for people working in senior nursing roles or leadership roles can earn anything up to $130,000 a year. But taking into consideration if you're working in the acute care setting, so in hospitals or anywhere that you're doing shift work, you have a wonderful ability to earn more because of after hours work and working on weekends and public holidays and things like that. That boosts your pay and your annual leave as well. So it's a really good amount that you can earn as a registered nurse, a really steady income. For enrolled nursing, it ranges from the mid-40s up to probably the mid-70,000s for enrolled nurses.
Great. Do you have anything to add to that, Anne?
No, but I think I might go nursing.
I think I might too. I might join you on that one, Anne. I might enroll.
Yeah. It's kind of roll, right? We could be good classmates.
Awesome. Thanks for that. So without saying any names, please talk about one of the success stories from one of your students.
So one of my favourite success stories is about one of my Pacifica students, actually, who I met when she started in my level 3 course in foundation studies and what's the equivalent of New Zealand certificate of study and career prep, but 10 years ago. And I taught her in that, and she passed that, and she moved into level 4. And about that time, I moved into the degree. She struggled with level 4, went back and had another shot at it, came into the degree the following semester, came into my science class, passed all the nursing stuff really well, struggled with the science and had to come back and repeat it. And she really struggled. So she pulled out and left. And a couple of years later, maybe, or a year later, I met her when at Sylvia Park, and I was like, "Oh wow, what are you doing?" And she's like, "Oh, I don't know, I still really want to become a nurse." And I was like, "Well, come into our enrolled nursing program." Like that had just started. So she came back, she did our enrolled nursing program. She was amazing. Like, she was one of the top students in that class, and the science began to make sense. Like, she could link the science to the nursing, and it was making far better sense. Got a fantastic job as a registered enrolled nurse, and then applied to come into our Bachelor of Nursing Pacific program and aced that. Like, she was one of the hardest working, strongest people in that degree program. So I guess the moral of that story, like, I often use here as a talking point for people that are like, "Oh, I'm too old to go nursing," or "I don't know if I can do it." Like, you've got to kind of have faith in yourself, I think. And if you've met the entry, then for the either the diploma or the degree, then we really, really believe that you can do it. And I think you've just got to have that self-belief. And sometimes we might say, "Look, your science is a little bit weak, go into a level 4 program." And that's kind of really cool because it gets you familiar with our Manukau campus and our staff and the way that we do things. You make a really good, you foster really good connections with people, and that whanaungatanga kind of works for you as you move into the degree, because you'll find that group of people heading in the same pathway as you are. So really, really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you have a student in mind that you want to talk about, Amy?
I think Anne's covered one of our
Yeah.
major success stories, but I think that we've got a lot of students that really,
Success.
are success stories that have come through,
Yeah.
really hard times, or really they've worked through the most complex situations to get their qualification, and they've gone on to be amazing registered nurses, and they've just shown such resilience and getting through. And so I think what that says, though, is that anybody can do it.
Yeah.
And, if you have a passion for working with people and you want to work in healthcare, you can do it. And at MIT, we offer all the support possible that we can to make sure that our students get through. And so, give it a go. Try and get in there and get that qualification if it's something that's important to you, and just keep at it, and you will get through. And with the right support, you will be able to be successful.
That's beautiful. Thank you for that. It's been a blessing since I've been here at MIT to watch the many graduates that graduate within our nursing school, at Pacifica graduation, at the Māori graduation, but also at the MIT general graduation. And it's such a beauty to see all our lecturers standing at the front, clapping them on, cheering them on. And again, it's evident definitely of the passion from you two, but also the rest of the team at our School of Nursing, into the students. And like you said, Anne, with that story, you bumped into her at Sylvia Park years later. And it's like the connection was still there, so it was definitely meant to be for her. So very proud.
And it's actually really cool when you just drop in, you injured yourself or something, and you go down to the local clinic, and one of your students is on duty that weekend, and it's actually really cool to see them fully fledged and using all those skills that they've developed over those years of study. So there's lots of options, and things can go awry when you're studying, and part of the role of me and Amy is to work with you to find a pathway. And sometimes people come into study thinking, I'm going to be full-time, and then realise that actually trying to juggle children and work and study, or your dad's got sick or something and you have to manage that. Like, you come and talk to us and we'll plan a way forward for you. It might not be what you plan to start with, but we work with you to try and get you to where you want to go. So like Amy said, come and have a go.
Awesome, thank you for that. Another fun random question. Describe your lockdown using one word.
Awesome. It was awesome. Really awesome. Loved it.
Oh, mine's been interesting. I have loved it, but the extended version is, that duck that just entered the picture. Yeah, that's what my lockdown's been like. With two small kids trying to work. So that does require more than one word to describe. But yeah, it's been great. It's been great having the extra time with my kids and my family. Makes you think about what's important.
Yeah, that's right.
But it's actually been really cool seeing 100 students online and their little faces popping up in Teams or Zoom or whatever people are using. It's really cool. Like, so those connections are still there even though the distance has increased a bit. So it's awesome.
That's cool.
Awesome. Thanks for that. So if you're a student out there, or if you're wanting a changing career, why would they want to choose nursing at MIT?
Because we're awesome, man. We're really awesome. Like, why would you want to go anywhere else? I think because we really we understand what it's like to be a student. I think a lot, and we work really hard with you to make sure that you're getting where you want to go. We do offer a lot of support to help you on that journey. We're really approachable people. We're really real people. Like, we live those, those MIT values, and those are important to us. So we hope we emulate them, and that kind of comes back to us. So, Amy.
Absolutely. Same. I think that we are the place to study because we have those connections with everybody, and we understand that not everybody's journey is just a straight road from A to B. And we've got so many different pathways that you can get to where you want to go. So whether you're starting out in one of our foundation courses to get into the nursing program, or you looking at doing that enrolled nursing program and then seeing where life takes you from there, and going out and getting some work experience and then coming back and doing your registered nursing training, whatever is going to work for you is what we try to make happen. And because we've got all these different programs, it means it suits so many different people, and it suits different people's worldviews. And it means that we are offering a really diverse range of nurses to the workforce, but also you can bring all of your rich knowledge and life experience to enhance our program. So I think, the connections are everything, and we've got that at MIT.
Awesome. That was beautiful. Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much for your time here today with us. That pretty much brings our little Talanoa kōrero with you to an end. So if you are watching and I guess you have always had that little thought of wanting to become a nurse, please feel free to head over to our website, check out all the information about our nursing programs, but also head over to the MIT YouTube channel where I know there's a few videos over there that are showcasing our beautiful facility over at the Manuko's nursing school. But as always, at the end of every lecture series, if you do have any more questions and you want to talk to us one-on-one, feel free to email Stevie and I on experience@manuko.ac.nz. If you would like to get in contact with Anne or Amy, feel free to send us an email and we will pass your details over to them. Again, Anne and Amy, thank you so much for your time. Keep up the good work, and we hope to see you back on campus, I don't know, in the next couple of weeks.
Hope so. Yeah. Nice meeting with you guys too. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you. And to everyone that's watching, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Ka kite.
Bye.
MIT, where the best makers are made.